self-determination. I am equally pleased and honored to be here today. He's remarkably similar to Nelson Mandela in that his charismatic approach to securing freedom for his people, advocating for peace, and advocating for self-determination. So Nnamdi Kanu is a leader of the Igbo people. And in that regard, as I said, he is remarkably like Nelson Mandela. Nnamdi Kanu is our opportunity to get it right. So if you have some hesitation about supporting Nnamdi Kanu, because there's been some talk of him being a terrorist and the IPOB being terrorist, that's simply not true. But I'm here to submit to you, even more important, Nelson Mandela was considered a terrorist. As a matter of fact, Nelson Mandela was not removed from the United States list of terrorists until he was 89 years old. And I believe it was 2009, when he was almost dead. As we've said, evidence has come to light that not only is Nnamdi Kanu jailed, and let's just make sure what we're talking about is crystal clear. Here is a man that is a political leader, a peace-loving political leader that wants freedom for his people, wants his people to no longer be subjected to apartheid-like discrimination and genocide. And he's jailed because of that. He's sitting in jail as we speak today. And I would really be delighted, and my job would be done, if a great number of you said, why haven't I heard about this before? Why isn't everyone talking about this? Why is this something that seems to only concern the Igbo people? Why don't we know about this injustice? Because I submit to you, there is no greater injustice right now on this planet than the continued unlawful incarceration of Nnamdi Kanu. Now, it's easy to say unlawful, and I'm a lawyer and I often say it. But in this case, we have not one, not two, but three separate panels, judicial panels, that have said his arrest, his rendition, and his continued incarceration are absolutely illegal. Not because it's not a good idea, not because we don't like it, not because he's the leader of our people or a leader of people that we favor. The Nigerian courts applying Nigerian law made that determination not once, but twice. You have two court judgments, it's so obvious, that said he must be released immediately, he must be returned to his place of citizenship, which is Britain, and he must be paid 1 billion naira. Or 500,000 naira, depending on the court. The United Nations has looked at this case and determined that there are rampant, gross human rights violations, and they demand the immediate release. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu represents, just as Nelson Mandela represented his people, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu represents over 50% more people, 42 million as opposed to 28 million. So how can we not move mountains, do everything in our power possible as human beings to free Nnamdi Kanu? It's fundamental, basic Nigerian law. And that has been disregarded because Nigerian law has been utilized by the courts twice to say, release Nnamdi Kanu. Again, let's make sure we understand he's in jail solely because of his political beliefs. He's caged solely because of his ethnicity and solely because of what he represents, which is freedom. Freedom from oppression, freedom from genocide, and freedom from apartheid-like discrimination. The UN determination, they found directly, not obliquely, not as a recommendation, but a direct speaking voice that the UN seldom, if ever, takes, almost never takes, that there was a violation of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's human rights because he was detained arbitrarily and without law. He was detained without due process. He was detained without the right to use his counsel. And he was unlawfully kidnapped and secreted to a secret location. He was disappeared. He was all of the horrors that you could can imagine that a nation could do, short of actually killing him, which would be genocide, all at once. Nnamdi Kanu has languished in the darkness and the silence for far too long. We call for someone, anyone or Congress as a whole, to stand up and say enough's enough, free Nnamdi Kanu. So when this message gets out to the members of the United States Congress, I submit that those that want to strike a blow for freedom and also preserve their name for posterity, this would be a good start. So I think we have reason for hope. Without hope, everyone gives up. So I'm here to tell you there's hope. Finally, the freedom of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is of paramount importance in beginning the process of remedying the religious and ethnic persecution in Nigeria. It's a bigger issue than him. The call, free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, is a call for human rights and obedience to the rule of law and good government that must be made from throughout the globe and heard in Abuja. 50 million plus, 60 million plus Igbo worldwide will cherish the day of Kanu's freedom, and the world will celebrate, much as it celebrated the release of Nelson Mandela. And we can all be part of that. The courts of Nigeria have spoken. The United Nations have spoken. Now is the time for the American people and Congress to speak, and the world to speak, to lend their voices, to condemn Nigeria's action, and to encourage them to do what is required of them in compliance with the rule of law and international human rights. If the United States is responsible in any measure for causing the release of Nnamdi Kanu, the world, West Africa, and the world will see and celebrate the United States as the beacon of human rights, freedom and liberty, and the rule of law that it always has been, that we always imagine ourselves to be, and we aspire to be. Simple act, one man, one voice, one statement.